Hey everyone, today I want to share the story of my first Himalayan trek, the Deoriatal Chandrashila. Our journey started from Delhi. We took a bus to Rishikesh, where the India Hikes team picked us up from the Lufri hostel. From there, we drove to our base campsite. That evening was all about meeting our trek leaders, getting to know the fellow trekkers, attending the briefing session, and preparing for the days ahead. At that point, I was excited but also extremely nervous. The next morning, we had a fitness checkup before the start of the trek, and we had a breakfast, and then came the first day of the trekking. We had to cover around 3.5 kilometers to reach our first campsite near Deoriatal. The hardest part of the trek was not the summit, it wasn't the snow, it wasn't the long distance. It was literally the first climb from our tents to the main road. But my friends kept encouraging me and they didn't let me quit. By evening, we reached the beautiful Deoriatal Lake. Sitting beside the peaceful lake while our guide shared the mythological stories connected to the place felt magical. That night was another first for me. My first time sleeping in a tent in the mountains, using bio toilets, no running water, completely outside of my comfort zone. But somehow I was happier than ever. The next day was a much longer trek, almost 10 kilometers. I saw snow for the first time in my life. I cannot even explain how special that moment was. Ever since I was a kid, I had dreamed about touching snow, seeing snowfall in real life, and suddenly there I was, walking through it, touching it, experiencing it. It felt like a childhood dream coming true. The day was tiring, but every step felt worth it. One thing I absolutely loved about the trek was the evenings. After walking for hours, we would gather together, eat hot food, chat with friends, laugh about the day, and listen to our guide explain the next day's plan. Looking back, those simple moments became some of my favorite memories. Day 3 was especially interesting because it was a DIY trek. We were divided into groups and given responsibilities. My job was simple but important, reminding everyone to stay hydrated. During this trek, we stopped at Akashganga. We spent some time meditating there, surrounded by silence and mountains. It was one of those rare moments where everything felt calm. And that evening, we reached Banyakung, the last campsite of our trek, where everyone were playing around with the snows. And this was my first time seeing the snow rain for the first time in my life. And finally, it hit me. The summer day was coming. There was excitement, there was nervousness, and honestly, there was a little fear too. Then came the big day. We woke up around 3 a.m. in the morning. It was dark, freezing cold, and the trail was covered in snow. We started trekking from Chokta, wearing gaiters and headlamps. Everything around us was white. The first major stop was Tungnath, and after Tungnath came the final 1 kilometer climb to Chandrashila. This was the toughest section for me. I was completely drained. Every step felt heavier than the previous one. Then came a section that genuinely scared me. There was a slippery stretch of snow, and when I looked down, I suddenly realized how high we had climbed. I felt afraid for a moment. I wasn't sure I could continue. That's when our guide, Prince, stepped in. He calmly helped me cross that section. No pressure, no rushing, just steady support. That small act gave me the confidence I needed. After that, I continued on my own. And finally, I reached the summit. The view was unbelievable. Standing there and seeing Nanda Devi and Trishul in the distance is something I'll never forget. In that moment, all the exhaustion disappeared. Looking back, the summit was not the most important thing I gained from this trek. What stayed with me was a lesson. At the end of the trek, my guide told me something I'll always remember. He said, "It was not your physical stamina that brought you here, it was your willpower." And yes, he was right. This trek taught me that the hardest steps are often the first few, that self-doubt is normal, and that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about continuing even when you're scared. Chandrashila was not just my first trek, it was the place where I discovered a strength in myself and that I didn't know it existed. And that's why this trek will always be special to me. Thank you for watching, and if you have ever doubted yourself before trying something new, I hope the story reminds you that you're capable of much more than you think you are. See you in the next video.